If your teeth aren't as strong as they used to be, don't give up the foods you love just yet. Give me a slow cooker and I'll show you how ordinary ingredients can become so tender that a fork can practically do the chewing for you. Just looking at this piece of beef makes my teeth hurt. It's thick, firm, and exactly the kind of meat you might expect to spend forever chewing. But give it a few hours in a slow cooker and everything changes. Look at this piece now. I barely have to press it with my fork and it starts falling apart. That's exactly the texture we're going for today. Start by cutting the beef into chunks. Don't make them too small. I actually prefer fairly large pieces because we're going to cook them slowly for several hours. There's plenty of time for the heat and moisture to work their way through every piece, making the beef tender from the outside all the way to the center. Once the beef is cut, place all the pieces directly into your slow cooker. Now we need some vegetables. This isn't only about adding something colorful to the pot. As the vegetables cook slowly alongside the beef, they release their own flavors and sweetness into the cooking liquid, giving the entire stew a richer taste. I'm using onions, potatoes, and carrots, but you can easily substitute vegetables you already have at home. Cut them into fairly large chunks too. If you chop them too small, they can become overly soft after several hours of cooking. Everything goes into one pot. Now let's season it. I'm adding about half a teaspoon of salt, followed by half a teaspoon of black pepper. Next comes about half a bowl of beef stew sauce. This gives us a flavorful liquid that will slowly coat the beef and vegetables as they cook. Then add around 3 bay leaves, and finally I'm adding 1 cinnamon stick. Pour in enough water to completely cover the ingredients, and that's all the preparation. There's no complicated cooking technique here. You don't even have to stand beside the stove stirring everything together. Put the lid on the slow cooker and let it cook for about 5 hours, or according to the time and setting recommended for your particular slow cooker and cut of beef. Several hours later, lunch has practically cooked itself. Now, let's open the lid. The broth has become rich and flavorful. The vegetables are completely tender and the beef looks nothing like those firm pieces we started with. But let's test it. Take a fork and gently press into one piece of beef. I don't even know how to describe this texture. There's almost no resistance. The fork slides straight through and with just a little pressure, the beef separates into soft strands. There's no need to fight it with a knife or spend forever chewing a tough piece of meat. Now spoon everything into a bowl. A piece of beef, some soft potatoes, carrot, onion, and plenty of that warm, flavorful broth. For anyone who simply prefers softer foods or finds tougher meat, difficult to chew, this kind of slow-cooked meal can be much easier and more comfortable to enjoy. How tender do you like your beef? Still firm enough to slice or so soft that it falls apart with a fork? Tell me in the comments. And if that slow-cooked beef surprised you, another meat benefits just as much from gentle cooking chicken breast. Chicken breast is lean and packed with protein, but there's one problem almost everyone has experienced: it can become dry and unpleasantly tough when overcooked. That's exactly what we're trying to avoid. Just like we did with the beef, start by cutting the chicken breast into fairly large pieces. Place all the chicken directly into the slow cooker. Now for my favorite vegetable to pair with it, pumpkin. I love pumpkin in slow-cooked dishes because it has a naturally sweet flavor, and as it cooks, the texture becomes wonderfully soft and creamy. Pumpkin also provides nutrients including beta-carotene, which the body can convert to vitamin A, as well as fiber and potassium. Again, don't make them too small. After several hours in the slow cooker, smaller pieces can practically disappear into the broth. Larger pieces will soften beautifully while still giving you something to spoon up alongside the chicken. Add all the pumpkin to the pot. Next, I'm adding about half an onion cut into large pieces. Now we can season everything. You can adjust the salt, pepper, and other seasonings according to what your family enjoys. But there's one ingredient I wouldn't leave out of this particular combination: 1 tablespoon of curry powder. Sprinkle it evenly over the chicken and vegetables. As the curry cooks with the pumpkin and onion, it gives the broth a warm color and a wonderfully fragrant aroma. Now add enough water or unsalted broth to provide sufficient cooking liquid for your recipe and slow cooker. That's all the preparation done. Depending on the slow cooker recipe, the size of the chicken pieces and the temperature cooking times can vary significantly. However, about 3 hours is usually sufficient. And now comes my favorite part of slow cooking. Stay nearby and do something you actually enjoy. Read a few pages of a book, tidy up the kitchen, or spend some time playing with your pet while dinner cooks. When you come back later, you'll probably notice the aroma before you even reach the kitchen. Open the lid. Look at that beautiful golden broth. The pumpkin has softened, the onion has almost melted into the cooking liquid, and those large pieces of chicken are now completely cooked through. But the real test is the texture. Take a fork and gently press into one piece. Look how easily it separates. Instead of the dry, rubbery chicken breast we're all familiar with, you have tender pieces surrounded by a warm, flavorful broth. Now let's turn it into a complete meal. Spoon a little into a bowl, then add the chicken, several pieces of pumpkin, and finally some of that fragrant curry broth over the top. And now for the best part. Take a bite with a little chicken and pumpkin together. The pumpkin is soft, creamy, and naturally sweet. The curry adds warmth and depth, while the chicken gives the dish plenty of satisfying protein without needing a crispy crust or heavy frying. And because everything has been cooked until tender, there's very little effort needed to chew it. That's why meals like this can be especially enjoyable for older adults or anyone who simply prefers softer textures. Which would you choose for lunch, the fall-apart beef stew from earlier or this tender curry chicken with pumpkin? Tell me in the comments. And if you'd like to see more simple meals that are soft, comforting, and easy to prepare, give this video a like and subscribe to the channel. Share it with someone who might enjoy these recipes too. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.